Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Yeah, pretty good practice. Guys seem excited to go face Clemson Tigers, so hopefully we'll play our best. We're going to need to. I told our guys to win these last two was pretty good for where we were, and we're going to try our best to win one more. It'd be a pretty good comeback from some things that have happened this year. So sort of proud of what our guys have done the last couple games.
All right, Steve Spurrier from practice just a few minutes ago over at Williams-Brice Stadium. The last time we will hear from the Gamecocks head coach until after Saturday's game at Clemson. Dabo Swinney also talking with the media at his practice. Going on right now, the meeting with the media. We'll get that to you as well. So we'll hear from Spurrier, we'll hear from Dabo Swinney, and we'll hear from others tonight. Lee Sterling will be here. The M&M boys will be here. We'll take your phone calls as well. Jump on the lines a little bit later on, 800-956-7266. But I know that you're on the move tonight. You're headed somewhere, to the grocery store, to grandma's house,
to the couch,
to the bathroom, whatever the case may be.
to the bar.
Happy Thanksgiving to all of you from all of us here at Sports Talk. A reminder, there will be a Sports Talk tomorrow night available for our stations around the state. It will not be live. It'll be a recorded show previewing Clemson, Carolina, and also the high school championship games, the three that will be played on Friday. We'll have interviews with the coaches for those three games on that show tomorrow night. So if you get a chance, check it out amongst everything else you got going on. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and the professor, Tom Hayes.
Breaking news. Deshaun Watson just left the practice field at Clemson.
Was he
jogged off.
Jogged?
On his own power.
What does that mean, jogged?
Dabo Swinney's going to be talking.
Do you mean yogged
to
or
reporters.
jogged?
Jogged off, according to that's now a story. That's actually a story.
Well,
I just clicked on the link.
Are on
Watson just leaving
Watson.
practice. Talk about clickbait.
Yeah, clickbait. Is that what they call it? Clickbait?
Yeah, that's clickbait.
Elvis has left the practice
and then you
field.
click on it, and it just said Watson just left jogged off.
Mm-hmm. Well, so Dabo will be talking shortly. I'm sure we'll get some tweets from the upstate about the status of Watson, how he looked in practice tonight. How much will he share? How much does he want to keep it in suspense?
Yeah, he's not going to tell people what he's going to do. Just following along here, Dabo just said today was better than yesterday. He said they're more confident today than they were yesterday. Dabo said he has a good chance to play. Dabo said he didn't know how much or when, but he definitely has a chance to play. Dabo said he's not made any decision, but he feels after 3 days Watson has a chance.
Okay. Sounds to me then like Stout will start.
Mm-hmm.
If he struggles, and if they have to go to their emergency plan, then they go with Watson. That's the way I sense that right now. Then again, he may start Watson and just go with it and see how long he can go, you know. But, again, like Howard said the other night, in his thinking, it's smarter to start Stout and bring Watson in if you have to than to start Watson and have to bring Stout in if Watson gets hurt again. All right, Lee Sterling coming up after the break here on Sports Talk. We are back at Sports Talk here on Thanksgiving Eve. Good to have you with us wherever you're dialed in around the state of South Carolina. Be safe in your travels. And don't forget, we'll be back live with you on Friday night. Recorded show for you tomorrow night. Let's dive into things. Got a busy show for you here tonight from downtown Main Street, Columbia. Let's get things rolling with our Sterling picks for big rivalry weekend. We welcome in Lee Sterling. We're having to sort of squeeze Lee into this segment because he has other programs he has to do, and we appreciate him changing his schedule to accommodate us. Good evening, sir, and happy Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be on. Yeah, I've got to squeeze all my Thursday and Friday shows into one day, but at the end of the day, everyone's going to be happy, and we can all spend tomorrow with our families.
You got that right. And last week on your picks on our show, a perfect 4-0.
Yeah, well, so maybe I should have stopped. We should have ended the season, but can't do that. Got to keep driving and got to keep winning. Got a lot of big games.
Let's get to 3 big rivalry games right off the top. Let's go with the Iron Bowl, Alabama laying 10 against Auburn.
Yeah, and this Alabama team, I can tell you this much. Been there before. I've been there when you lose big games. All you do is you think about that game 4 or 5 times a day for at least a year or two. So it's a circle game for the Alabama Crimson Tide players. They've won 15 straight at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Auburn's leaking oil down the stretch, and I just don't think of the 4 major units. Their defense is good enough to get key stops here. I like Alabama here. They win by double digits, 38-17.
That would solidify their number 1 spot in the playoff and put them into the championship game in the SEC. Now, Mississippi State, Mississippi in the Egg Bowl. The Bulldogs laying 1 here on the road.
Yeah, and Mississippi State, I think Mississippi State is going to learn from the things that they had problems with the Alabama game. You can't just play to stay in the game. I think they're going to attack here. Ole Miss, Bo Wallace, Gimpy, a bad ankle, 2 interceptions again last week. He's without his key target Treadwell here. I think Mississippi State's going to get it done here. Usually these games are tight, but Mississippi State's going to pull away late, win and cover 35-20.
All right, let's go to the Palmetto Bowl here in South Carolina in the upstate over at Death Valley. Clemson, USC. The Tigers at home, favored by 4, trying to snap that 5-game losing streak.
Well, it's going to be tough. You know, they need Watson to play in this game. If he does not play the entire game, I can't see them winning this game. They just can't generate rushing yards. They have trouble putting up points here. So I think it's going to be tough here. And the Gamecocks 9-0 against the spread, run as an underdog. I just think Dabo's just overmatched here. I like South Carolina 30-23.
Wow, high scoring, and the Gamecocks win, and the streak continues. Your game of the week, Arkansas and Mizzou.
Yeah, and this is our game of the week this week. So on the line here. If you want to get Arkansas, Missouri, just be one of the first 10 callers. Call 800-400-9741. We'll give you Arkansas, Missouri for free. So many other teams like Georgia are just waiting on this game here. So it's a big game tomorrow, 800-400-9741. And this weekend, it's our world-famous Turkey Shootout. 15 games from Thursday through Sunday, and 3 of the last 4 years we've done 10-5 or better on these 15 games. If you use coupon code SAVE50, just $87 for 15 games. That's right. It comes out to $5 a selection. How do you get the Turkey Shootout 15 games for $87? ParamountSports.com or call 800-400-9741.
Have a great Thanksgiving, my friend, and we will talk to you next week.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
All right. What did he say? 33? What was the final score?
30-23.
30-23.
Gamecocks
by a touchdown.
30-23. Gamecocks by a touchdown. He's thinking Watson's not going to play or play very much. He doesn't see Cole Stout being able to direct a big Clemson offensive explosion against South Carolina, yet he sees this Gamecock offense putting 30 up against the Tiger defense. Now, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either. And, you know, it does look like Watson's going to play. I think Watson is going to play. I mean, it's trending in that direction, certainly, if he's out there running around and taking reps with the first team. How much is the big question. Can we safely say that they're not going to hand him the ball and say, go out and win this game? I mean, I just don't. Do you expect Watson to start based on everything that we've heard?
Right now, I'd say no, because as you read from a tweet, today was the first day he took any snaps.
Yeah,
with the
he took
first
some
team.
snaps. They've been preparing Cole Stout to play, and Cole Stout, we're going to hear from him later in the show, and he's talking like a guy that's planning on starting and taking his first snaps against South Carolina. And I think Dabo's going to roll him out there and see what happens and see how the game unfolds. And then you also, if you're going to bring in Watson, you get that huge lift, from the crowd when he comes in. If you need a boost, third series, whatever, he comes in, boom. And maybe he stays in, maybe he's gimpy and you get him back out and gets Stout. And at least that gives you something to fire up your team. And Dabo, he has a flair for the dramatic sometimes like that.
I tell you what, I just think just the opposite. I think to fire up the crowd early, you start what? Two reasons you start him. You fire up the crowd, but a guy on a gimpy knee or any gimpy joint, once it's heated up in the warm-ups, play him. If you let him sit there on the sideline, it's going to kind of
Connor Shaw looked okay when he came in against Missouri with that bum knee.
Connor Shaw. Connor Shaw is a different build. Notice he's a little stocky build. Deshaun Watson has a swimmer's build. Those joints are a little bit different.
And they're different type of quarterbacks too, Deshaun Watson and Connor Shaw. And I will say this, Shaw he rushed for negative yards in that Missouri game. He was pretty much a statue back there. And in fact, Spurrier quipped that, I kind of like him better when he can't run as much. He stands back there and makes the throws that I want him to make. Is Watson going to be able to just stand in there, not let his instincts take over and just sling it around back there? Or is Chad Morris going to call those zone reads with him?
This morning I was in Florence with our friends at Miller Communications on their annual Clemson Carolina show on their stations. I was there with Kennard and Alan Smothers and George Rogers and Thomas Hunter. And Thomas, a former Clemson tight end who played against the Gamecocks, he made the comment, and he was right on because I'd heard it before, talking about Watson. He's not going to make it through seasons if they continue to put the running game on him. If he continues to be the main threat in the running game, he is going to be constantly hurt because he doesn't have the build to take the punishment. Now, he's a freshman. He'll go through an off season here, weight training. If he puts on 20 pounds of muscle and thickens up, he might be able to sustain himself through a season. But this season alone, we've seen a broken collarbone in the spring and a broken finger and a hurt knee. Now, he wasn't hit on the hurt knee. That was maybe more of a freak sort of thing. But you see what we're saying here. He just doesn't have the body like Todd Boyd or even Connor Shaw, guys who were built to be zone read option quarterbacks and take the hits. He's got the speed. He's got the elusiveness. But if he doesn't get out of bounds or get down and he takes the hits, he's not going to survive.
He takes some shots, too, and he does have to learn how to protect himself. And that's the difference between playing high school football and playing college football.
All he did in high school,
NFL.
too, I say all he did. I saw one of his high school games on television. All he did was stand back in the pocket and lob touchdown passes in that particular game. They scored 60-something points. Now, I don't know if he did that all season long. He did have some humongous numbers in high school. He was Georgia's all-time leading passer.
Now, while he was lucky in college, not lucky in the pros, just check at RG3's build, and every time you come out of that pocket and put your body in jeopardy, it can happen.
And you see where the Redskins are going in another direction.
Exactly.
Colt McCoy is going to be their starting quarterback moving forward. All right, we have a break coming up. We're going to hear from Spurrier after the break. And then, bottom of the hour, we'll come back and have the M&M boys with us. We will get you the Dabo Swinney comments as soon as those come into us as well. We've got some recruiting for you, too. K-Mac mentioned Cole Stouts and more. We'll hear from G.A. Mangus, USC quarterbacks coach. News out of USC today, not a whole lot. Pharaoh Cooper he was there, but he didn't really go through the practice today, still dealing with the sore ribs. They do expect him to be healthy and ready to go on Saturday. There doesn't seem to be much of a concern there. And Spurrier, you'll hear his comments coming up. He's very relaxed, in a very good mood, and I think he likes his team's chances going into Saturday. That's coming up next.
But yeah, good practice today in the stadium. All right, see you guys.
All right, the Gamecocks practice over at Williams-Brice Stadium today. Let's hear from Steve Spurrier, brought to you by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybean.org. Pork, powered by soy. Now, Spurrier wasn't supposed to talk today. He was on the SEC conference call this morning, but he wasn't going to talk to the media after practice, but he stopped by, was close enough to us for us to kind of reel him in, get a few words from him, beginning with his review of practice.
But yeah, good practice today in the stadium. Be in the stadium tomorrow, and be in the stadium Friday before we go up there. So it feels in beautiful shape. Yeah, pretty good practice. Guys seem excited to go play these Clemson Tigers, so hopefully we'll play our best. We're going to need to.
They seem confident?
Oh, I don't think. Same as always. We kick it off and see what happens. I don't know how confident confident? I don't know if that's the word. We think we got a chance. Always have a chance if you play well, but we got to play well to beat them.
You'll practice tomorrow morning.
When you go with a full facial? Just lately?
It's you ever heard of November?
No.
Trying to raise money for prostate cancer.
Oh, okay. Okay. What's the question?
I'm gonna shave as soon as the Clemson game's over.
Okay. What's the question?
Practice in the morning and then cut them loose.
No, we practice about 1 o'clock tomorrow. 1:30.
We have the Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah,
together.
we have Thanksgiving luncheon with the Epworth Children's Home kids. So they'll be over here at 11:30. It's an annual event for us. Our players look forward to it, and we do too. Coaches do too. So hopefully the Epworth kids have a good time as we have Thanksgiving with them. Yeah, but happy Thanksgiving to all the Gamecocks out there. We got a lot to be thankful for. I told our guys to win these last two was pretty good for where we were, and we're going to try our best to win one more. That'd be a pretty good comeback from some things that have happened this year. So, sort of proud of what our guys have done last couple of games.
Their defense.
Huh?
How much was Farrow able to do today?
He didn't do a lot. He didn't run around full go. He's hurting a little bit. We'll see how he's in a couple of days. Hopefully he'll be all right.
Their defensive front,
how
much they concern you?
Oh, they're very good. Very good. Florida's was very good too. We didn't make many yards on Florida. Hopefully we can make a few yards here and there somehow. We didn't make many yards on them last year. I think we only made around 300 or something.
You can't really count on the turnovers to keep falling your way in this game, can you?
Can't count on it, but you hope. You always hope something good will happen. So that's why you just keep playing and try to be alert. Try to be alert. If one comes your way, you got to be ready to go get it.
The chairman of the USC board said this morning he expects you to remain coach here for several years.
Well, hopefully he'll be right. Okay. All right. See you guys.
I keep asking about it.
Well,
don't you?
Listen,
You're on a
I was
vendetta.
on the show this morning in Florence, and Gene War, who's the chairman of the USC board, was there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask him the question. One of the other guys did. I think Ken Arter did. And that's what he said. He says, I'm paraphrasing here. He said, I expect Coach Spurrier to be the coach for several more years. I think it's a legitimate question until somebody says,
I can hope.
definitely.
Yeah, well,
Definitely.
He's not gonna say definitely.
Somebody's got to say definitely. At some point in time, they definitely got to say he's coming back. M&M Boys coming up after the break.
Be alert if one comes your way. You got to be ready to go get it.
The chairman of the USC board said this morning he expects you to remain coach here for several years.
Well, hopefully he'll be right. Okay. All right. See you guys.
All right, we're back at Sports Talk here on a Wednesday nights from downtown Columbia, Main Streets. Sports Talk, your Sports Talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornbluth, Professor Tom Hayes, K-Mac, and the state man, Graham Pope, once again behind the bulletproof glass in our relatively new studios on Main Street in downtown Columbia. We are in the process of hooking up, we hope, with the M&M boys. They might have gone turkey on us tonight and started the holiday. So far, no, we'll try to get with them here in the next little bit, as we expect to have them with us. If not, we'll move on to some other things here in just a moment. We'll take some phone calls in a little bit, too. 800-956-7266 is how you can ring us up. You can email us to talkback@sportstalksc.com. The website is SportsTalk SC, and on Twitter @SportsTalkSC. Facebook is Sports Talk Radio Network. USC is in action in basketball tonight at 8 o'clock over at the CLA. They'll try to snap their 2-game losing streak as they take on UNC Asheville. Pretty good team from the Big South. 8 o'clock tip over at the Colonial Life Arena. And Frank Martin said earlier this week that Asheville was pretty salty. So it will be a good test for them at home and a chance to go into the Thanksgiving break with a victory.
Mm-hmm.
And
Eddie Bedenbaugh still there?
I don't think so.
Huh.
I don't. I'll tell you who it is. I don't think it's him. I could be wrong. I haven't really checked. But the other thing is too, the Gamecocks have had this stretch of this will be 5 games for them in 8 days.
Right.
So they'll bring that to an end tonight, and they would certainly like to end on a high note and go into the Thanksgiving holiday with a 500 record. So we will be there for that tonight as well. You can hear Martin's post-game comments on the website, sportstalk.com, a little bit later on in the evening. Let's see. We have got the pastor of Payne, and we're efforting to get Will Merritt. Let's go ahead and bring the pastor up, and we will talk with him. By the way, the head coach of Asheville is Nick McDevitt.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick McDevitt. And let's see, Asheville, just looking at their starters, they have a 6'9" guy, 6'9", 6'6", 6'3", 6'2", 5'10". So South Carolina will match up pretty well, should match up pretty well with a team from the Big South. All right, no luck with Will. We do have the pastor of Payne, so we do have one of the M&M boys. We just have one M boy with us today. How are you?
One M boy?
One M boy.
I'm big enough to handle for both, so let's roll.
So you're going to talk out of both sides of your mouth? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just going to tell the truth on both sides, so it'll be good.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
The floor is all yours. So your initial thoughts going back to the first of the week after USC beat South Alabama, after Clemson beat Georgia State, and Deshaun Watson, all the stuff going on with him, your initial thoughts about the game to start the week.
Well, Phil, I actually changed my thought process concerning this game about 3 weeks ago. After looking at Clemson in depth and their offense and their defense, I got nothing but mad respect for. I think they're really good, especially in the front seven. But watching them play, I'm not sold with Coastal or if Deshaun Watson is in the ball game. And I think South Carolina's gotten better defensively the last 2 weeks now. I know it's been Florida and South Alabama, 2 teams that nobody really respects, but still they made some plays in the red zone against South Alabama, got some turnovers 5 last week, and I like how they're playing. I like to change that linebacker with Walton and Sky Moore. I think it was a really good move on Lorenzo Ward's part, and I think they're playing better. They're going in the right direction versus Clemson, who I think going in the opposite direction. So I like South Carolina in this ball game, and I think heard that with clock, you ready to play. I think they're going to be a little bit too antsy to try to get this victory. I like what South Carolina's doing.
About the defense, Corey, I've always said all along that if you move a guy who's proficient at a position to another position, you're actually weakening 2 positions. I mean, that's my feeling. Bryson Williams playing corner versus him playing at safety, and you plugging in another person in place of McWilliams. What is your thought process on that?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you said. I kind of agree with that, and I worry about that a bit pro, but I don't think the passing game has been that efficient for Clemson, regardless of who's in the game. I don't think it's that offense that we've seen over the years with Taj Boyd and Sammy Watkins and those guys. I hear what you're saying. I think, they had to have so much rotation back there this year. I think South Carolina is probably accustomed to what they're doing in that secondary because they've moved guys all around with Bryson Williams, the safety back at corner, and guys have to play different positions based on the limited players they have back there. I don't think it's going to be a factor. I really don't. I think when I look at Clemson's offense, I looked at it hard the last 3 weeks. I don't think they're going to be able just to sit back there and throw the ball. I don't think they're just that consistent in the passing game.
All right, so you see a Gamecock defense improving and one that can be a factor, but Corey, one thing that hasn't changed is Clemson's defense. There's no ignoring the fact that they're the number one defense in the country statistically. They're big and strong up front. They're fast off the edge. Their linebackers are big. They run well. Their secondary covers well. I'm not saying they're impenetrable, but what I'm saying is that South Carolina could have a difficult time moving the ball and manufacturing points.
Well, Phil, I like South Carolina offense. I know they struggled at Florida. They really struggled against South Alabama. They turned the ball over. But I like this offensive line. I think the offensive line is good enough. They're going to play physical against Clemson. I think it's going to be one of the more physical running games that Clemson is going to see with Mike Davis and Brandon Wiles. I like the tight ends, even though they had some drops last week. I think South Carolina can match up with this defense. I really do. You know how I feel about the ACC. It's been no shocker. I call it the cupcake conference. And I think, sometimes the numbers are don't tell the whole story. The stats of this defense. I mean, you play Georgia State, Wake Forest. I mean, some teams that really, come on, at the end of the day, Louisville about their main guys. I mean, so I think sometimes we can look into this defense and say, oh, yeah, they're good, but are they that good? And I don't think they're the Alabama defense. I don't think, they're the defense of the secondary that LSU has. I don't see that. I think it's inflated because of some of the teams they played.
Do you think they're the best defense the Gamecocks have faced this season?
Yeah, I think so. With the front seven, I think they're really good in the front seven. I agree with what you said, Phil, with the front seven, but I'm not so sure in the secondary. I think they're vulnerable in that secondary. I think South Carolina's passing game with Dylan Thompson and those receivers, Nick Jones, Farrell Cooper, if he's healthy 100%, I think these guys can play at a high enough level to get us defensive problems. I really do. And I think watch the tight ends. I know Buster played sloppy the other day, but I think the tight ends could be effective, especially if they won't sit back and try to play cover two, because Clemson won't do that with that front four. So they can get to the quarterback and rush. And when they do that, that means they play a lot of cover two. I expect the tight ends in that seam route. The weakness of that defense is going to be down the middle of the field. I think they can have success throwing the football, especially if they can establish the run early.
All right, so what's your pick in the game?
I am taking South Carolina. This may shock a lot.
By 10.
I got the winning by 10. The last 5 years have been double-digit victories. I don't care if they can put a clock up there, a stopwatch. It doesn't matter. I think that the Gamecocks are in the head of Dabo Swinney, and I think they're balanced enough as a football team, and I think they play the tougher schedule, and they're battle-tested. They'll win this ball game in Death Valley by 10. And it could be worse if Cole Stout was playing in this football game.
I think he's going to play. Hey, Pastor of Pain, Corey Miller. You can see him on television in Columbia, Watch TV 57. And we thank you. We'll talk to you again next week to wrap everything up. But have a great Thanksgiving, you and your family, and we'll see you in the Valley on Saturday.
Same to you guys. I wish you'd bring me a turkey by work, man.
Well, I'll bring K-Mac with me. That'll be my turkey.
Oh, you set that one up too. That was like laying there on the tee.
Okay.
I was actually ready to make the move too, but you beat me to the punch.
Yeah, too quick
tonight. Quick on the draw.
All right, the Pastor of Pain, Corey Miller. We're still going to try and get Will. I guess we'll try and get him Friday night, I guess. He's off with the family, I'm sure.
He's frying a turkey.
A turkey. He's probably hunting a turkey if I know Will.
Might be.
And we'll try and hook up with him before game day. Thanks to Corey. We'll be right back. we're back. It is Sports Talk from Columbia. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Good to have you with us as you are out and about on this Wednesday night. Let's welcome in a good friend of Sports Talk and somebody who can give us another angle on the USC-Clemson game, Clemson-USC game, coming up Saturday. He'll be on the national radio call all across the country. That's why they call it national. He is Mike Morgan. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. How are you?
Same to you, Phil. Good to talk to you. I guess it's been since the Braves report, and on that subject, let me give a little love to our longtime sponsor on that, Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Black Friday coming up. I know you'll want to take advantage of this. 25% off any item, one item at Play It Again Sports over there, Bauer Parkway in Columbia. There, we got a little business out of the way.
There you go. That's super.
Corny, you should bring your golf clubs over there and get rid of them.
That's a good idea. Listen, I have golf clubs from Play It Again, and they work just fine.
There you go.
They're already broken in for me and scratched up, so I feel very comfortable with them. And I get used golf balls from there too, already cut. Don't have to break them in. Mikey, you're going to be on the call up at Death Valley, and you're on the Gamecock call down at Florida, so you've seen them. And of course, you've seen Clemson as well. So
right.
How are you analyzing this game going in?
Well, I think, and I've been talking to people from both sides in preparation. Number one, the $1 million question is, what are we going to see out of Deshaun Watson? I mean, I think obviously the Clemson offense, which has really struggled at times this year, this has not looked like a Chad Morris offense. You don't have a Sammy Watkins type receiver, and they haven't been very good in the power running game, and they've been just abysmal in short yardage offense and red zone offense. So you're trying to overcome all that, and clearly Cole Stout is not the playmaker that Taj Boyd was or Deshaun Watson is. So, I mean, that's the number one question I'm sure you guys have talked about a lot already leading up to the game. Once you get to that, it's interesting. Even if the Clemson offense is struggling, you've got a Gamecock defense which has been miserable all year long. And then conversely, you've got a South Carolina offense that can score on anybody in the country. And you've got a Clemson defense that has been really salty. So I think there's a lot of intriguing matchups within the game, and that, of course, and the fact that you've got the longest Gamecock winning streak in the history of the rivalry, all those things make it a fun game to follow, and in our case, broadcast.
Yeah, you've been around a lot of these rivalry games over the years, and we all know that the emotions are very high, and the emotions for the home team in particular seem to last for a little while, but eventually the emotion wears off and the talent takes over. How do you see that playing a role in Saturday's game?
Well, I think you bring up a great point, and that is while we like to throw in all the cliches with rivalry week, I don't care what rivalry it is. Typically, the more talented and the better team wins. I just don't know who the better team is in this game for this year. I think psychologically, certainly South Carolina has had an advantage. But, so many of those games, minus the one 2 years ago that Dylan Thompson started in his party, so many of the other games were the Connor Shaw factor. Connor Shaw would make plays on 3rd and long that would continually help sustain drives and put points on the board. Then there was the Jadeveon Clowney factor. Well, and we know both those guys are gone, and we know how big a factor they were. So that has kind of changed things. I don't know if anybody has a psychological edge this year. And I think talent-wise, there's not a huge disparity. Both teams have strengths, as I mentioned, and both have glaring weaknesses. So the big thing that I think will be huge is if you look at the last 5 years, the difference in turnover margin and points off turnovers has been ridiculously large for South Carolina. So Clemson has to do something. They have to clean that up to win this game this time out.
As far as this game, Mike, the last few years, Spurrier has been using the clock. You could tell he would run the play clock down. The play is already in, but Connor Shaw wait to the last second to take the snap. Do you see him being stubborn in the running game and, again, playing that clock game as far as narrowing how many possessions maybe a Clemson offense can have?
Well, I think Steve is really smart enough to adapt. And what we saw the last few years under Steve Spurrier was not the offense he ran at Florida, but he knew that was his strength, so that's what he did. Now, I don't know if that's the case. As good as Mike Davis is, if you just try to run the ball down Clemson's throat, to me, that's their strength. Their defensive line is their strength. It's all upperclassmen. They're stout. They've got all conference players all over the place. I think Steve is going to be real tempted to try to work over that secondary. I think there's a little bit more of a weakness in the back four for Clemson than the front four. So to me, I can't see this becoming a game the way they would have done it under a Marcus Lattimore type, where you try to get him 30 to 40 carries and just control the game. I think Steve's going to be a little more aggressive in the passing game with Dylan Thompson.
Are you in a position to offer up a pick?
Oh, I can. There's no rule against it. Hopefully they won't dock me in pay if they do that. I honestly don't. I think if you could tell me whether or not Deshaun Watson is going to play and be a factor, if he is, I would take Clemson. If a guy, I would take Carolina. For me, you got to pick one factor that overrides all of them. That would be the one.
Thank you, Mike. We'll see you Saturday. Back in a moment. All right, tonight's recruiting report is brought to you by South Carolina's Electric Cooperative, sponsors of the 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl. And the best high school players in the state from the north and the south will be on hand December 13th in Myrtle Beach. Make your plans to be there. Mr. Football will also be announced at halftime. All right, recruiting defensive lineman Albert Huggins of Orangeburg-Wilkinson, the state's top uncommitted senior prospect. Been going kind of slow with recruiting most of the way, but things are starting to pick up now because he's graduating in December, so he knows he's got to get around to making that decision. 2 weekends ago, he made an official visit to Georgia. This weekend, he will do the same with Clemson, and he is thinking about officials to Florida and North Carolina. He's been to Clemson for camps and games, knows the staff well, so there's not much he doesn't know about the school and about the program, but he does want to kind of check out everything this weekend, the emotions of the game and all of that. Had a good time at Georgia, was impressed by what he saw there. To him, he said it was much like Clemson, a good atmosphere and all of that. But he was also impressed with how the coaching staff treated him and his host treated him, and he felt like it was more than just football for him in Athens when he was there on that official visit. As far as a decision and favorites, he says he's still thinking. He's going to take these official visits and see how the schools really are. Does not have a date in mind for making his decision, though he does have the Shrine Bowl coming up, and he does graduate in December, so he could have a decision not too long after the Shrine Bowl. Now, when asked if it's fair to assume Clemson and Georgia of the top two at this point, he laughed and said, "I didn't say it. I plead the fifth." But he did confirm it was safe to assume that Clemson and Georgia lead for him right now. USC Clemson made the top five for junior receiver Pablo from Winston-Salem. North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia Tech round out the top five. He has all the schools equal. He was at USC twice, Clemson once this season. He was at USC for Texas A&M and Tennessee, Clemson for North Carolina. He said USC's been showing more interest in him of late. He hasn't heard much from Clemson lately. This weekend, he's going to Virginia Tech on Friday, North Carolina, NC State on Saturday. He'd like to have his decision sometime this offseason. And junior athlete Nicole Hardman of Burton, Georgia, will be at Clemson this weekend, his second trip this season. He was there for the Syracuse game. Looking forward to getting back there. He said Clemson contacts him all the time. USC's also in touch, he said, every now and then. Tennessee does remain his leader with Clemson, USC, Georgia, Florida, rounding out his five in no order. His last two visits were to Tennessee and Georgia. His latest offer is from Ole Miss, and he wants to visit there as well. He plans to hold off on announcing anything until National Signing Day 2017. Hope we're all here to see it. Top of the hour break. Sweeney and more coming up.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All right, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Wednesday night heading into Thanksgiving holiday. Hope you're having a great day. Looking forward to your easy day tomorrow and then Black Friday. Black Friday. Why do they call it Black Friday? I mean, I know it's the day everybody goes shopping and goes crazy. I mean, it should be Green Friday. I mean, that's when green is the predominant color with all the money changing hands. I stay out of everybody's way on the Friday after Thanksgiving. I don't want to be around any drivers. I don't want to be around, in particular, women drivers. I got to say this on my way to Williams Bryce. Now listen, this is a true story. I'm minding my own business, going down Assembly Street. There's not much traffic, and I got a car to my right. Thank goodness it's a 3-lane highway, Assembly Street, heading to the stadium. And all of a sudden, the car swerves over in my lane, and I do some quick defensive driving, and I swerve to the left. Thank goodness no one was to my left, and I avoided contact. And that car pulled back over into its lane. So I said a couple of things to myself and kept on driving and felt like everything was okay. So I'm coming up on the stadium, and I noticed this car is behind me several hundred yards. But in my lane now, as I'm on George Rogers, getting ready to make a left into the stadium. And I have to wait because there's oncoming traffic. I look in my rearview mirror. Here comes the same car, and it's not slowing down. You can tell when a car is not slowing down behind you. And I'm looking, and it's not slowing down. And I'm thinking within a few seconds, yeah, this damn thing's going to hit me. So I step on the gas and pull on up to the red light at the corner of Bluff and George Rogers. And I make a left, and the same car makes a left behind me, pulls around me, and I get a look over at him. I want to give him a drop-dead dirty look. And, of course, it was a woman driver, female driver with a couple of other people in the car.
She was a stalker.
And even then, going down Bluff Road, I don't know if they were drunk. I don't know if they were on something. But even then, going down Bluff Road, they were in between lanes. And I'm like, I'm glad I'm away from those people. The point is, female drivers this time of the year.
Wow.
Stay away from
You never miss an opportunity to attack women, do you?
I think they need.
If a female has the audacity to ask a question at a press conference, you call them a reporterette.
If they're young and shapely.
No, the next time Corn
again
gets down George Rogers Boulevard, the next woman driver
will
will
have his
ram
Thanksgiving
him.
with a side of sexism.
I'm just saying. It was a very scary situation, and it was a female driver.
This is a very scary situation.
They need to be in the kitchen this time of the year.
Wow. Go ahead and send those emails
in the kitchen.
to them now.
Ram Phil Kornbluth.
Make the meal, put the meal on my table, get my drink, get my football game on television, and stay away from me. That's what I would prefer. We'll be right back.
kind of everyone looks forward. Something that kind of everyone looks forward to, even in the off season. It's something.
A reminder, tomorrow night, there will be Sports Talk. It'll be a pre-recorded version of Sports Talk as we continue to preview Clemson and Carolina and also take a look at the 3 high school football games coming up on Friday, state championship games, the 1-1A game at Benedict and the 2-2A games over at River Bluff. All right, Clemson coach Dabo Swinney just a little while ago met with the media to talk about practice earlier today. And the Tigers pretty much, this was the last big practice before they play South Carolina on Saturday. Wednesday, usually the last really strenuous workout. They do a little stuff on Thursday and maybe a slight walkthrough on Friday. So today was the day they got a chance to look one more time at Deshaun Watson in a game-type setting, running with the first team, throwing the ball, cutting, doing the things that, as Dabo said earlier in the week, he's got to be able to do the things to help them win the game if they're going to play him. And so first thing, of course, that Dabo talked about to the reporters just a little while ago is the update on Watson, how he looked in practice today.
Than he was yesterday, and just like I've been saying, he's kind of getting better. And I thought he was more confident today than he was yesterday. So, tomorrow's another important day for us from a preparation standpoint. But he's, I think he's got a good chance to play. How much, when, we haven't decided that yet. But I think he's definitely got a chance to play.
How much?
And I will say this: they both have had, a good week from just a preparation standpoint, just mentally really being dialed in. And Cole is probably he's had a great week. He's probably had his best week in quite a while. So I think we're well prepared and go play a good game. And hopefully Deshaun by Saturday is ready to go. But if not, I know Cole Stout is.
How would you describe Cole's week as better than
very? We just throwing the ball with a lot of confidence. He's really done well in all of our competitive stuff. It's just been one of his better weeks from a competitive standpoint, and our team passing our skellies, and he's just got a poise to him that I like this week. And it's been really, really good. But, very accurate with the ball, and so that's encouraging. He's taken pretty much all the first team reps this week, and and he's prepared well.
Would an option be let's start Cole and then play Deshaun if we had to, or if Deshaun's ready, he's just going to go?
Well, I think anything is an option. We haven't made any type of decision. We're still, I feel like after 3 days that he's got a chance. We'll decide, here the next day or so. Tomorrow's a big day. And like I said, he's really gotten better every day. Dealing with his situation, it's part of it is him really getting more and more comfortable with his brace, that he's wearing. He's never worn a brace, so that's been a little bit of a different things too. But we'll see him tomorrow, and we'll sit down and watch the tape, and really evaluate what we think gives us the best chance to win the ball game. I do think that we're better shape this week than we were last week.
Does he have any, has he done any reps with the first team or anything like that?
Yeah, he got a few today. He did get a few today, but today was the first day that he got any of those. He's mostly taking second team reps because, again, we just want to, really evaluate him, but make sure that we have the continuity like we need, with all these other guys. But really not anything else to say other than we'll watch the tape, come back out here tomorrow, and I'm encouraged. Like I said, I think there's a chance. How much, when, I can't answer that.
Could it feasibly just be a situation, because you mentioned it could be a game-time decision where it all depends on how he wakes up?
Could. Pre-game, all that stuff.
With Byers, is he going to be?
His grandmother passed away, and he is not back with us yet. We hope that he will be back, but family is the priority right now.
What's going on with Battle? He's great.
Oh, he's fine. He just had a little upset stomach, puked.
Like on the field? Or?
He puked at the dining hall. Pretty nasty. He's all right.
Better today than tomorrow.
We just kept him out of the good on good today. But he's fine. He took all the snaps.
Everything else injury-wise still the same as it was?
Yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape. T.J. Green is still kind of nursing that hamstring a little bit, so we're hopeful that he'll be able to go. Martin, I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. I hate that because he's really worked his tail off to try to get back for this last home game, and I just don't think. I think he'll be really good for the bowl, but I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. So that's probably the biggest disappointment there, because I was really hoping he could get back in time for this one.
Do you feel good with Tankersley as a third corner?
Oh yeah. Well, Dre's been very solid for us all year, and I'm very confident in him. Same thing with Baker. Baker's ready to go if we needed him, but. Those three guys that played most of the snaps were Dre, Gary, and McKenzie.
How is Tyshawn on pass protection? We saw him run the ball.
He's getting better. Well, physically, he's going to be really, really good physically, but it's a work in progress because he's not done a lot of pass protecting. They handed him that ball in high school a bunch. He did a little bit. I'll tell you one thing. He's going to be a factor in the passing game as he, really develops into a complete player. He's got nice soft hands. He's got a decent understanding for route running. But as far as just owning the protections, he's not there yet. We're confident he can go out there and do what we need him to do, but he's not quite polished machine back there right now, like he will be as he matures. So he's going to be really good with that aspect.
Guillermo, does he have a chance to start, or you like what you have?
No. We've got our five that'll start, but it's really nice knowing we got Guillermo. But we hopefully we have a little continuity in this game and get a little bit of that chemistry that we've been trying to get for a while. But he's ready to go, and that's a good thing to know that we got him ready if needed.
You said before you went down to Florida State you liked the look in your players' eyes during that week's practice. How did they look this week?
Excellent. It's been an excellent week. We really hadn't had to say a whole lot. They're excited to play the game, and I know fans and people get distracted by all the stuff that goes around this game, but from our standpoint, it's about preparing to play the game. That's that's really what it's got to be about. It's about, getting yourself ready to compete and perform and do your job, well. That's all it can be about. That's what our focus has to be. We can't get distracted by things that really aren't relevant to the game. And I like where our guys are mentally, and love how they practice. And I felt the same way last year. I mean, we had great practice, great preparation last year, and we played well. We had some unfortunate, mistakes, but collectively as a team, we really played well. And if we can, play as hard and play as well in some really critical areas as we did last year, a little better job taking care of football, hopefully we can have a chance for a little better outcome.
The rosters and circumstances have turned over so much since a year ago, but have you shown them the fourth quarter or talked about the fourth quarter last year?
They see the tape in their, meetings as a part of cut-ups and studying the opponent. But, we got to show them enough. They know. They know how the game ended. They know that we had 6 turnovers. They know that we didn't finish the game like we had an opportunity to.
All right, Dabo Swinney, just a little while ago after the Tigers practice, you heard him say they've had a terrific week of practice, feels good about things. I think in his mind, guys, he believes if Clemson holds on to the football, doesn't turn it over, and get South Carolina scoring opportunities, they're going to win the ball game. I think that's been his sentiment throughout as he's talked about the losing streak as well as preparing for Saturday's game. We'll be back with a look back at 2011 in a moment.
We were hoping to play our best game of the year, and we probably did.
Of course, all week long we've been flashing back to the 5-game winning streak, 5-game losing streak, however you want to look at it, between the two teams. We're up to a 2011, a 34-13 South Carolina win, most dominant victory in the 5-game streak for South Carolina. Gamecocks jumped out early and never let up as they won in Columbia on November 26, 2011. What did Spurrier think about it afterwards?
We were hoping to play our best game of the year, and we probably did. Defense was sensational all night, great effort, staying after them and so forth. And offensively, we did enough good things here and there to run and pass for the exact amount. So that's sort of our formula for winning, about 20 passes. That's what we threw. And fortunately hit 14 with no picks. But it was a good win for us. Again, we scored in the red zone, mostly touchdowns. Jay made both of his field goals, and fortunately, they dropped a few potential touchdown passes. So it worked out very well for us. Kenny Miles had a super game. Really proud of Kenny coming in there and running for a bunch of yards. Brandon just got off to a little slow start. I don't know. And we felt like let's give Kenny a shot in there. So he has, as well as Connor running for all those yards. So it was just a wonderful win for us. Glad to get win number 10. And it's been a very good year for us. And now we realize we got a chance to win 11. So we can shoot for 11, whoever we play in the bowl game. Any questions?
Steve, a little more on Kenny. Brandon Wiles wasn't hurt or anything. It was just
he just seemed like he was running into guys. Just wasn't quite as elusive as maybe we thought we could be. And Kenny deserved a shot to play. So I'm not afraid to put the next guy. None of us are afraid to put the next guy in there if one seems to be struggling a little bit. But Kenny had some really nice runs there. Brandon did okay. It was just let's see what Kenny can do in there.
With Kenny, he did get honored for Senior Day. I mean, does this maybe change his thinking a little bit? Might he come back?
It may. I said, you may go through Senior Day twice. And he sort of smiled and said, yeah, I may do it, something like that. So, but I'll let you guys ask him about that. Yeah, but I did mention that to him. Yeah.
All right, what did Dabo Sweeney say after what was his third straight loss in the series?
Well, it's obviously very disappointing. It's the highest of the highs and it's the lowest of the lows when this is what you do for a living. And we're just really disappointed in how we played. Offensively, a lot of missed plays. We dropped a touchdown early. And sacks, can't protect our quarterback. It's really disappointing. And obviously that affects your ability to score. And defensively, quarterback beat us. And it's just that's the most disappointing thing to me coming out of this game is that we let the quarterback beat us. And
South Carolina wins that one 34-13, and as you heard Spurrier say, big offensive day for the Gamecocks, over 200 yards passing, over 200 yards rushing. Complete offensive performance that day. Back in a moment.
Something that kind of everyone looks forward to, even in the off season.
Well, he's got to play well. Obviously, they're a good team, and we've got to take care of the ball better than we did Saturday. That's
some time to take some calls if you want to join the program tonight. 800-956-7266. Our email, talkback@sportstalksc.com. Let's do some email while we have a couple of moments. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. From Mary, she asks, which Gamecocks with eligibility remaining will not return to play in 2015? Well, we don't know for sure yet who that might be. I mean, you're talking about some juniors who might decide to go to the NFL draft. So you're thinking number one on that list would be Mike Davis. Brandon Wilds indicates he's not interested in going to the draft early. Brandon Shell indicates he's not interested in going to the draft early. Anybody else come to mind that would be possible as
No, I really think the Kelsey Corals thing scared a lot of those guys because, for a while, the Gamecocks were kind of, if they had a chance to get drafted and all the way back to Torrey Gurley, they were going. And now I think some of those guys saw what happened with Vic Hampton and Kelsey Corals, and they're going, you know what, maybe that's not such a great thing. Now, with Mike Davis, with a running back, he's looking at Todd Gurley and he saw Marcus Lattimore. I get it. Go get yours. And Ace Sanders went and got his because he wasn't going to grow, and Bruce Ellington. But some guys clearly made a mistake last year. And I think Vic Hampton definitely made a mistake, and Corals just got cut, and now he's on a practice squad again. You could argue he might have made a mistake, could have pushed himself into the first round. And think what that defense would have been like with those two guys. They wouldn't have been great. Certainly a lot better if you're putting Vic Hampton out there on a corner. He's a great cover
Kelsey
corner.
Corals would have been a
in
lot
the middle with
better
JT Surratt. Yeah, you have two guys in the middle of that defense that if you're going to do a 3-4 defense with those guys in there at your point, maybe that helps a little bit.
I'm not sure the 3-4 is a good idea for them. Seems like the play comfortable and a lot more confident in the old 4-2-5.
That's because they weren't used to it, and that's why I said it was tough because the upperclassmen you had couldn't help the youngsters get in the right position because they didn't know what the right position was. So it was a difficult adjustment there. But yeah, the defense would have been just a little bit better. But they have improved with time, and it's sometimes you got to just struggle to find out where that happy medium was. And I think the switch with the linebackers and I'll say it again, some unfortunate injuries happened along the way as well that kind of set them back.
All right, to the phones we go, and we go to Ryan in Hartsville. Ryan, good evening, and welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Man, we're doing great. How are you?
Doing good. After hearing Corey talk tonight and other people talk, have you changed your mind at all about the outcome of the game this weekend?
All three of us have picked Clemson, and I just can't get past their defense. I think their defense wins out over South Carolina's offense. I think even with Cole Stout on Clemson's offense, I see an improved running game with Tyshawn Dye and Wayne Gallman, and Clemson's receivers, Williams and Peak. They're tall. They're bigger than South Carolina's corners, especially Williams, who's had a terrific year. And then you've got the speed with Artava Scott. You've got the little guy, Adam Humphreys, who you can slide in there to make a critical catch for you, convert third down. I think they're going to score enough. I'm not sure South Carolina will. I give Clemson the edge in special teams overall. I stick with my Clemson by 3, 20-17.
Yeah, and it sounded more and more like Watson's going to be involved in some capacity in this game. And I don't – if Watson didn't play, worst case scenario for Clemson fans, I still think Stout, despite his struggles, he's shown me enough over the course of the season at Boston College in particular. Even at Wake Forest where the offense struggled, he made some sticks throws that were big to move the chains. He can stand back there against a Gamecock defense that isn't going to put a lot of pressure on him because they don't have a great pass rush, and find Mike Williams and Artava Scott and these guys in the middle of the field and get just enough. And maybe they found a little bit of a running game now that Tyshawn Dye is healthy. They're playing at home. All those factors, you put them into the pot, and I'm taking Clemson.
And you're sticking with Clemson too?
I'm sticking with Clemson because I'm just, full disclosure, I'm just playing the odds. You use 5 in a row. I mean, if the teams are even, and I think they are right now, quite frankly, I mean, they have strengths on different sides of the ball. If they don't win this game, then what do they do? I mean, you're at home. South Carolina's defense is not what it was. South Carolina's in your head. You feel relaxed, but now I just think they just can't. They just have to execute a game plan, because if the teams are equal and you're at home, you should win the football game.
Well, here's the thing about Stout. Now, in the games where he was the only quarterback that they could count on, and that would be starting with Louisville and moving through Wake Forest. Okay, he was the quarterback. There was no Deshaun Watson. He completed at least 20 passes in each of those games. Now, you go back and look at the games where Deshaun Watson was becoming more of a factor at quarterback, such as Florida State and North Carolina, where he played very little. Georgia Tech, he came in after he got hurt and struggled, of course, terribly. But against Georgia State, when he was the quarterback, he completed 19 passes. I get the feeling when Stout is in the game and he knows it's his game, he plays better. I think when he's out there and realizing that a mistake's going to get him pulled, and he's got Watson standing on the sideline waiting, he's a little shaky. So that may be something to think about as we go into this game. Now, Stout talked to reporters earlier this week. This will be the first time for him to play in this ball game, assuming that he does play. And, of course, like all the Tigers up there, he's excited about this chance against the Gamecocks. And he's so excited about it, he's basically speechless. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, here we go.
Something that kind of everyone looks forward to, even in the off season. It's something that everyone kind of focuses on, and knowing this is one of the biggest games of the year. And personally, I think it's one of the biggest rivalries out there in the college nation. Just how all the games have always been, and it's a huge deal, and it's something that a lot of people focus on every single year.
How sick are you guys of hearing about their streak?
It's just one of those things that's constantly itching in the back of your head and making you motivate you to do a little bit more and watch more film and prepare a little bit harder. But it's just, we're still gonna go into each week like we always prepare for every single game, just try to be the best that we can be.
Looking back, do you guys press too much the last couple of years in this game?
No, I don't think so. It just all comes down to preparation and execution once you get out there, and just staying relaxed and just having fun. And that's what we got to do this year, and that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna have some fun. We're gonna do what it takes to win, and we're just gonna have some fun doing it.
Do you feel if given the chance, you can beat South Carolina? You personally, starting quarterback, full Stout, can beat South Carolina?
Yeah. Everyone's gotta have that confidence of doing that. So I think I can, and I know I can't do it on my own. It's all comes with the team, and I think that we are very capable of winning.
Could you put into words what it would mean to you personally to start this game and end that streak?
It meant a ton to me, actually. Knowing that we can, it'd be a very high accomplishment and it'd be well recognized. But it's just something that it's really more of a whole team effort. It's not really just on one guy. It's really, it'd be a very nice way to go out. And the senior season with all the other seniors, something that we've kind of put hard work into, and knowing how we would be.
What do you personally have to do differently than at previous games where you struggled to give you guys a chance to win?
I think we just have to go out and just have great practice, great preparation, have a good game plan down, and execute the best we can. That's kind of what we do every week. We're not going to try to do too much, more, because if you try to do too much, that's when mistakes come in. So we're just gonna do what we can do best and just go out there and have some fun.
Specifically on game day, I'm sure we're turnovers.
That's in every single game. When you win the turnover margin, you have a higher chance of winning. We've proven a couple games that we lose the turnover margin, but we still come out with a win. But it's still a lot better and an easier game to play when you win the turnover margin. So we're going to focus on the ball security a lot, and like we do every week, and just go out there and just have some fun.
Well, he'll have fun if he completes passes. I think you're going to see a lot of those screen passes, and we'll see if South Carolina is well prepared and if they tackle well in space against Williams and Peak and others. right, coming up, USA Mangas. Don't forget, also coming up December 13th in Myrtle Beach, it is the 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl. The North versus the South. Some of the top high school players in the state on display at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium. Also, the announcement of Mr. Football in South Carolina at halftime of the game. Make sure you're there December 13th in Myrtle Beach. All right, we heard from Clemson quarterback Cole Stout. What about USC quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator G.A. Mangus? After the Gamecocks practice this afternoon at Williams-Brice Stadium, we caught up with him to find out his thoughts about Dylan Thompson, his preparation this week for the game, and how he feels he'll play on Saturday.
Well, he's got to play well. Obviously, they're a good team, and you know we got to take care of the ball better than we did Saturday. That's for sure. And you know he did. He played well up there. He's been playing all year now. I mean he's got plenty of experience. That's not something that is going to be an issue, but he does. He's got to go play well. And he knows it, and he's excited about it.
What do you recall about 2 years ago when you gave him the word that it was his game?
Well, you know, he was excited about it, but I mean, there was always that chance. He had gotten a ton of reps that week in practice, obviously, because Connor didn't take very many. But he, you know, he was always ready to play. You know, it really wasn't a situation where it changed a whole lot in terms of his demeanor. He was excited to play and get an opportunity to actually, you know, start again. It wasn't his first start, but it was his first, you know, I guess maybe big game start, whatever. And you know, with him being, you know, from here and up that way, and he was ready to go and did some good things for us, obviously.
We were talking with Dylan on Tuesday at the press conference. One remark he mentioned is how much better and he's much more advanced as a quarterback he is now as compared to what he was 2 years ago. Just compare the Dylan Thompson 2 years ago to Dylan Thompson's going up to Clemson on Saturday.
Well, he's older. He's more mature. He's more comfortable in the offense. He knows it better. And that comes with experience. You know, he's just a lot more experienced today than he was 2 years ago, and that's the biggest thing he's got going for him. So he'll be a confident guy going in, and as he always is.
How do you expect their secondary to play, you guys? You expect a lot of press man, a lot of up on the line of scrimmage, and what are you expecting?
Well, they're the number one defense in the country, right? So I would imagine they'll play their defense, and you know they played it well all year long, and they've got good players. They're well coached, and I don't look for them to do a whole lot different just because they're playing us.
Is this the best defensive front seven you guys are going to face this year?
All
seniors.
Yeah, I mean they're experienced. We've been playing against these guys for the last few years, so you know the experience always helps. It's just the same reason why I feel pretty good about having fifth-year quarterback. You know, so it's experience always helps, and they've played a lot. But you know, we play against a lot of good front sevens, and they've always been right there with the best ones we play all year.
All right, G.A. Mangus, after USC's practice today, 2 years ago up at Clemson, remember that. Nobody knew Dylan Thompson was going to be the starting quarterback until the teams went on the field to warm up. And if I remember, Shaw was in uniform and I think tried to warm up, couldn't go. They handed the game to Thompson. This was a guy that had played in 2012 a little bit here and there, I think, as you heard GA say, but this was his first big start. 23 of 41, 310 yards. 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times. Nick Jones had 4 catches. Mike Davis had a catch. Just looking for
Sanders
guys.
had a big day.
Yeah, I'm looking for guys who are still on the team. Mike Davis rushed for 43 that day. Thompson rushed for 38. Remember, he had that big run.
Yeah, it was
third and
18, I think it was.
And he got
they just called the quarterback draw, ready to kick the field goal, and he picked up the first down.
Will Clemson be? You know, I saw a picture in the state paper today, the one of Connor Shaw in last year's game when he took off, and of course all of Clemson's DBs had their backs turned and they were running down the field, and he was at the 50-yard line. It was just Connor Shaw and the Gamecock logo, and that's how there was not a Tiger within 5 yards of him in any direction. And Clemson has made that mistake against South Carolina in the Connor Shaw era of turning their back in coverage and leaving the middle of the field open. Are they going to solve that on Saturday?
I don't think they need to worry about
Yeah,
that. I really don't. I think the only thing you have to look at is I don't think they'll use much of the zone read. I think South Carolina will try to attack the middle of the field because one thing and I know it's going to be tough with their tackles, but the interesting thing is I think really Clemson's defense loves to swarm when you try to play the edges. I think the way to attack them is in the middle. And I think that's what South Carolina do with the tight ends in this particular game.
Well, I think you have to keep a close watch on the tight ends. That's something George Rogers said this morning in analyzing the game. Keep an eye on South Carolina's tight ends and the pass plays that Spurrier dials up on Saturday. Back in a moment. All right, we'll update a couple of notes for you here in just a moment. Also give you some basketball scores. Pro will get those together for us. Coming up, of course, December 13th, it is the annual South Carolina Electric Cooperative's Touchstone Energy Bowl. Make sure you will be there in Myrtle Beach on December 13th. Kickoff will be at 12:30. At halftime, the naming of Mr. Football. Another good reason to spend the weekend in Myrtle Beach, as if you need many reasons. This is another good reason. Put on your calendar, December 13th. It's the first of 2 weeks of all-star coverage in South Carolina, the North-South game, and then the Shrine Bowl. Mike London will be back as the head coach at Virginia next season. That was announced today by Craig Littlepage. You know, we really haven't talked about this, but USC and Clemson jointly announced today that the rivalry game will be known hereforth and forevermore as the Palmetto Bowl.
Yawn.
That's the official name moving forward. So it's gone from Big Thursday to not really having a name. Big Thursday was a great name. Why can't they still call it Big Thursday even though they play on Saturday?
No, I think that would be the number one reason why they don't play it on a Thursday.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Big Saturday.
How many teams does the Big Ten have? Truth in names does not matter in college athletics. It's
not
just
in numbers.
What fits and what is tradition.
But not in numbers,
So
but
you
in
can still
nicknames.
call it the Big Thursday game on Saturday. They didn't think I bet you they didn't think about that.
Well,
I
see,
should have told them about that.
I'm telling you, I don't like the.
I'm sure they would have listened had you.
I don't like naming the games. because I knew this would be the name they'd pick. So I was thinking they'd get an object. You know, I love Minnesota, Wisconsin playing for Paul Bunyan.
So they don't have. I suggested one time that they use old Ben Tillman's pitchfork, but that had too many negative overtones to it. So
I think they want to test that pitchfork for DNA evidence to charge him with some more murders.
Now, you know, we had this story going back several weeks that this was all coming. They weren't able to get the new trophy. So the old piece of junk, the ship anchor that they've used as a trophy, will be awarded to the winner. It will not be called the Hardee's Trophy. No corporate name will be attached, but they'll use that trophy one more year. They're in the process of designing and creating a new trophy, cup, or plate.
So whoever wins it this year gets to keep it forever.
That's right. It can be your doorstop for the rest of your life.
Thing's big.
How about basketball, Pro? You got anything?
Yeah, in-state, number 4 Duke, of course, you know they had an easy time with Furman, 93-54. All the action seems to be at the Battle of Atlantis, where Oklahoma upset UCLA 75-65. North Carolina's upset by Butler 74-66. And later on tonight, Georgetown versus Florida. And the big one out in Maui, a Battle of the West, Arizona against San Diego State late.
Everybody have a great Thanksgiving, K-Mac, Pro, Steak Man. Don't forget our pre-recorded show for you tomorrow night, previewing the big game and high school football, back live with you on Friday night. Happy Thanksgiving from Sports Talk, and we'll see you Friday.